Alright, on to Lab 4, designing a solution for user settings. Exercise 4.1, we're going to create a local user account using the charms bar. Exercise 4.2, we're going to create an organizational unit, a domain group, and domain user accounts. Exercise 4.3, we're going to install remote server administration and offline files and folders. Exercise 4.4, we're going to configure folder redirection and offline files and folders. And then the lab challenge is creating a roaming profile. The servers we're going to need for the lab are RWDC01. We're also going to need server 02, and client system we're going to need is Win8A. Boiled down, we're going to be doing three things in this lab. 1. Create user accounts. 2. Create shares, or a share. And 3. Create an OU to tie everything together. With that, let's get started. Exercise 4.1, creating a local account using the charms bar. We have to log on to Win8, and under settings, we're going to change PC settings, click on users, and add a new user. And if the charms bar would come up, click on change PC settings, users. We're going to add a user. User account we're going to create is local user 1. Use our default password. And use standard as the hint. Now we see the local user 1 account created. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to show you another way of doing this. Go to computer management, go to local users and groups, users, right click, new user, create local user 2, once again use the same password, check that, create it, click close, and once this refreshes, there we go, we have the two local user accounts created. Let's move on to exercise 4.2, creating an organizational OU, a domain group, and domain user accounts. Now we need to hop on to RWDC01, go into Server Manager, Tools, Active Directory Users and Computers, CentOS is already expanded, so we don't have to. I'm going to right click, go New Organizational Unit. We're going to call this Sales. Here's our new OU. Now in the Sales Organizational Unit, we're going to create a new user. And we're going to call him or her Beverly Kasich. Username we're going to use is B Kasich. Click next. Use our same lame password. Check this. Password never expires. Next. And finish. Okay, and that concludes creating the user accounts that we're going to wind up needing. On to exercise 4.3, installing remote server administration tools for Windows 8. Hop back to our client. Go to RWDC01. And we need to have RSAT here, remote server administration tools. Okay, so since we don't have it, we're going to have to copy it over. Take one back over here to RWDC01. And we're going to go to 192.168.1.154. Once again, it's Contoso, administrator. Software. And do I have it? Okay, there we go. And I'm going to paste it. If you ever need to find it, you can just Google up and it takes you right to the link. Go download, and then you wind up selecting the 64-bit or the 32-bit version. We're using 64-bit OS, so this is the one you'd select. Go next, download, etc., etc. Rinse and repeat. Hop back onto our client. Refresh, F5. If we scroll on down to Windows 6.2, KB 269, 3643. Here's our remote server administration tools. Double click to install. Open. Of course, we accept. This takes a very, very, very long time to install, so I'm just going to pause the recording now and come back to it once it's all installed. Okay, now that RSAT's installed, they tell us to go into the administrative tools by going down here, clicking on the thumbnail, and selecting administrative tools, which is absolutely nowhere in this menu. So I'll show you how to get to it. Admin tools. There we go. Okay, so they want us to go into Active Directory users and computers. And here's our user under sales. And I noticed I skipped a step. Well, let's fix that. Click on sales, new, group. Group name they want us to have is sales. This is a global security group. Click OK. Go to properties, members. And we'll add Beverly to the group. Another way of doing it is if you right click on the user itself, member of, you just go add and select whatever security group or other groups that they are belonging to. Okay, so that concludes exercise 4.3. Now on to exercise 4.4, configuring folder redirection in offline files and folders. This particular section here isn't that complicated, but it is very fiddly, hence the 46 steps. So we're going to go to File and Storage Services on Server 02, and we're going to click Shares, click on Tasks, New Share. Server message block Share Quick is the default, and at SMB, that's the server message block. That's Microsoft's default protocol for file sharing. Click Next. That's good. Share name, sales. Next. One of the questions. Question 4. This is the default. Allow caching of share. Next. We're going to go customize permissions. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go disable inheritance. Now we're going to go add, select principal, and we're going to type in sales. Check names. There's sales. It's underlined, so we know it's in Active Directory properly. And we're going to click Show Advanced Permissions. And we're going to have Traverse Folder, List Folder Data, Read Attributes, Read Extended Attributes, Create Files, Write Data, Create Folders, Append Data, and give read permissions. And click OK. I'm going to go Add again. Select Principal. Now we're going to type in System. Check names. There's System. OK. And give full control to System. This allows the computer system to do whatever it needs to do with the folders and files in it, like backing it up and recovering. Click OK. Once again, add. Select principal. Now we're going to change this location here to server02.contoso.com. And here we're going to go administrators. Now we have to type it in fully. So we go check names. It grabs the server02.contoso.com/administrators. Click OK. Full control. Alright. And last but not least, we'll go add. Select principal again. Type in, switch our locations back to Contoso. They don't mention that. And just expand this. There's the creator owner. Okay. And we give the creator owner full control. Okay. Now we click OK. That's good. Next. And go create. And now we've created our share and we've given it permissions. Now we have to hop back to Win8A. Go back to our administrative tools, group policy management. Okay, so expand Contoso, expand domains, go into the Contoso domain. Click on sales, right click on it. We're going to create a GPO in this domain and link it here. And we're going to call this sales. Right click on sales and go edit. Now we're going to go into user configuration, policies, Windows settings. And select folder redirection. click on the Documents node. Right click, go Properties, Settings. We're going to want Basic redirect everyone's folder to the same location. That's good. We're back to the local user profile location when the policy is removed. Click OK, Apply. Yeah. Okay. And the last thing we got to do is we got to put in Server02 user data. Not that case is important here. And here we see the share Server02 user data Claire. That concludes the lab according to Wiley at this point. So we're just going to close this. We're going to close that. Okay, go apply. Yes. All right. So we have our group policy in place for sales. We have our share in place for sales. And we have our group for sales. Okay, so now let's skip ahead a couple years, and you get your first job with a company, and the head sysadmin asks for volunteers to set up a folder redirection for the head of sales at your company. You throw up your hand and say, "I'll volunteer for that because I know how to do that." You crack open your Wiley book, and you configure everything just the way we've done in this lab. So let's just see if this actually worked. We'll log off as administrator. And let's log in as Beverly. Go to the desktop. Go to Documents. Let's right click on it and go Properties. Well, lo and behold, my documents is being stored locally, not on the server. And this is why you want to test stuff before going into production. You don't want to wind up in a situation where Beverly winds up losing a multi-million-dollar contract because she lost a particular sales contract, and the next thing you know, you're turning tricks at the Tim Hortons downtown, wrestling hobos for stale bagels in the nim bin. What went wrong here, you may be asking yourself? Well, let's just do the lab challenge and find out. Cancel out of here. Get out of there. Log off. And we'll hop on to Server02. Go to Shares. Create a new share. SMB Quick. Server02. And for our share name, what we're going to put in here is Roaming User Profiles, $. Now you remember that the $sign at the end of any share will mean that anybody can't accidentally navigate to it unless they know that there's a what the share name actually is and puts in that $sign. It's also a good idea to put in a share description. Caching a share. Go back to here. Disable inheritance again. Remove. Go add. Select principal. And we're going to go system. Okay, full control. This applies to this folder and subfolders and files. That's good. Go add again. Select principal again, and we'll type in DOM, and we'll go for domain admins. Click OK, full control. And principal, creator owner. Select, give full control. And we're going to go add again. Select principal, and we're going to type in sales. There we go. Go show advanced permissions. And we're going to have all this, plus create files and folders. Okay. Okay. Next. Create. And done. Now let's hop over to RWDC01 here. Here's where the special sauce is. Right click on the user, go properties, click on the profile tab. You'll notice a couple different profiles here. One's a user profile, one's a home folder profile. In the profile path, we'll put in server02 Roman user profiles $. Now, typically you'd put in the username here. Whenever you're doing this, it's very important that you remember to do this instead of typing the username manually, because you can always have a typo. What you're going to do is you're going to use a system variable, and you're going to type in % username %. That way there, it's absolutely guaranteed to be tied in with this account. Click apply. Go OK. Now, if we go back to our client system, we'll find out if we're fired or not. Click properties. Well, that don't look good. And we'll reboot this system entirely. Okay, let's try this again. I'll check Windows Explorer again. Documents. Properties. Still showing as local. Well, let's rename this to sales contracts. In there, create a new document. Bagel Busters. We'll personalize the screen. Let's select Customize desktop background. My new folder on the desktop. And we'll sign out of Win8A. Now let's hop over to Win8B. And let's see what we have. Well, look at that. We have the customized background. We have the My New folder. And if we hop into Documents, here's our sales contracts and Bagel Busters. So now we have roaming profiles enabled for Beverly. Okay, so now we have the roaming profile working. We still don't have the folder redirection working. We'll go back to the user account, back in RWDC01, go Properties, go Profile. Now you'll note we have a user profile and a home folder. And the home folder is what we're going to be configuring right now. The profile is all the user documents, settings, everything except for applications. And doesn't matter what system the user will log into in your environment, they're always going to get the same desktop, the same documents, and everything else. They all get downloaded off of the server every time that they log into a system, or if they're logging into the same system or a system they've already logged into, they're just going to get the updated versions of the files that have changed since the last time they've logged into that system. A home folder, on the other hand, is actually a share that they wind up just connecting to over the network. The only time that the files are actually transferred is when they're actually opening them or browsing, that sort of stuff. Now in the home folder we can go with a local path. So if we wanted to put in D : whatever, if we had a D drive, we'd put it in here. We're going to go with a network drive, so we're just going to call it S for sales, and we're going to go server 02. We created the sales share, and once again we'll put in the %username%. Okay, so now that we've configured Beverly K6 roaming profile and user profiles, the other tweak that we have to make here is if we go into group policies under sales, go edit, policies, Windows settings, folder redirection, and we'll go documents, properties, and we'll point the root path over to server 02 sales. And we can do the same thing for, let's say, anything on the desktop. Basic redirection. Server 2 sales, username, desktop, apply. Yep. And under settings, redirect folder back to the local user profile location when the policy is removed. Yep. Okay. So if this works, what we should have is 2 folders redirected and a roaming user profile. And here we go, server 02 sales, BCASIC. So now we have a roaming profile and we also have folder redirection. And we'll just hop over to server 02 for a second. So we have sales, there's bCASIX account, and on the running user profiles, here's bCASIX account. So they're both created under the shares. And that concludes Lab 4.